Hello and welcome to the Computer Dungeon. This is the second in our AOID series, the Always On Information Display. You're going to have to take your SD card and you're going to have to hook it into the computer somehow. Now, a lot of laptops will have an SD card reader, and that's fine, but if you don't have an SD card reader, you need to have something like this that can read SD cards through the USB. Also, some of them have little micro SD slots that work just the same, like that.
Once you have your SD card hooked into your computer through the USB or your card reader, you need to go to this link right here. It's raspberrypi.org/downloads. On this page, you'll find all the information you need to know about installing an operating system on an SD card for Raspberry Pi. There's a quick start guide right there, and the instructions for installing noobs. If you've never used Raspberry Pi before, I highly recommend you at least try to figure out how to get it set up using noobs, and then go back and do it again. It's because noobs is specifically for noobs. It's aptly named. I've used noobs, and there seems to be some difficulty for me in resizing the partition. So basically you use noobs to get yourself familiarized with everything and then move on to something more advanced like Wheezy. In order to move forward, there are 3 downloads off this page that we're going to have to get. You have to get the January 7th, 2014 Wheezy Raspbian zip file that contains the image. You're going to have to download Win32 Disk Imager. You're going to have to download and install the formatting tool. After the formatting tool is installed, use it to format your SD card and give it a name. That doesn't really matter as much. And also, it's okay to use quick format, but just know that this is going to erase everything on the SD card that you're using. The second step is to unzip the Wheezy image file, and then the third step is to open Win32 Disk Imager, and this little tool will allow you to write the image to the SD card.
The image should take somewhere around 10 to 20 minutes to write to the SD card. And right after it's done, your instinct would be to plug it into the Raspberry Pi, plug the monitor in, plug the power in, and boot it up. And this is where things start to get complicated. As you can see, if you're lucky, it'll recognize the monitor, but if you're like me and you're not lucky, it won't recognize the monitor. If it does recognize the monitor, though, you can get a jump on the next few steps. Okay, I set it up to run on a different card that I've forced to recognize the monitor. This step is not absolutely necessary, but if you do get to a point to where the Raspberry Pi will display on the monitor, you can get a vital piece of information a lot easier. Just plug in a USB keyboard. You don't even need a mouse. You hit Control Alt, let's say F3. Any function key between 1 and 6, so F1 or F2, will get you a prompt, and it'll ask you to log in. If you hit Control Alt F7, it'll take you back to the desktop like that. And so let's say F3. The username is going to be Pi, P-I, and the password is going to be Raspberry. So once you're logged in, you can type a command in that'll give you the local IP address of your Raspberry Pi. Now this is if you have it plugged into a wired Ethernet. You type in ifconfig, and then it'll display a command, an output right here. And in this output you'll find your local IP address, which is crucial in getting control of the Raspberry Pi. Keep in mind though that if you unplug your Raspberry Pi from from one wire and plug it into a different wire attached to the same router, depending on how your DHCP is set up or your NAT is set up, NAT device is set up, you might get a different IP address, so be careful with that. Alright, thanks for watching, and in long form on the website and the links below, you'll see these instructions written out a lot more detailed. If you have any questions, ask below, and please subscribe. Thank you for watching.